How are we all doing today? Good? Excellent. So, my name's Lee, here from Projecta. We're just going to have a bit of a look into some of the Jayco electrical systems that we've been setting up with them. So, if you do have any questions, after each one, we'll stop for a second, give people a chance to ask anything they need to know about those units specifically. All right? So obviously Projecta's been working with Jayco for quite some time. So we do have a lot of input with them. They have a lot of input with us. Projecta themselves, we've been around since 1989. Today we're recognised as one of Australasia's market leaders in high quality battery maintenance, battery power products, power management solutions, lighting, part of the BWI group with Nava, fairly large setup especially for the RV industry. We design, engineer, test, assemble and distribute from a 14,000 square metre building in Knoxfield. As well as another 4,000 square metre facility in Somerton. That's where I work from, working directly with a lot of the manufacturers. Now, we stand for quality. We try to make sure that our products aren't just sold to do a job. We want to make sure that everybody gets the best experience they can with the products, with the best reliability that we can. All right. Now, as everyone knows, caravanning's changing quite a bit. Only 15 years or so ago, one battery, one solar panel, that was pretty much all you had. You didn't really need much more. Now we're moving in, people are wanting to run their air conditioners, their induction cooktops. The power usage in a caravan is climbing through the roof. You can light up an entire campsite from one van a lot of the times. So reliability, especially for off-grid travel, is really, really important. We've set up with Projecta, we've got the PM535J and the 635J. They're bringing a lot of the best and newest technology. A lot of it you don't really see in any other brands, not in these sort of all-in-one systems. So we've got a video here from Benny, just going over a couple of the points on there. Give you a little bit of a first world view of them, because a lot of these systems you're not really going to see them all the time in the van, so they can be a bit hard to see even at the shows. So I'll pass it to
Power up your adventures with Projecta's new PM535J and PM635J systems, designed for superior power management and performance in your Jayco caravan. With a new sleek design, the PM535J power management unit has been updated to incorporate all the features that you have come to expect. This means 35 amp AC charging, 35 amp power supply, and factory inbuilt 30 amp MPPT solar regulator. And there's now the added benefit of a built-in 30 amp DC to DC charger, which means no matter what vehicle is attached, all house batteries will be charged quickly and reliably. The PM535J offers the same features of previous models. 14 output circuits with 2 switchable circuits for water pump and hot water service. It adds factory fitment of a 4-inch colour touch display or the new optional 7-inch colour touch display. Each new display includes an additional 3 switching circuits for lighting, for a total of 5 switching circuits. The displays clearly show daily and monthly statistical data for AC charge, solar charge, DC-DC charge, and DC load output, so usage and charge can be easily monitored. This means that off-grid travellers can enjoy greater confidence in their Jayco caravan than ever before. Utilising the same stylish design as the PM535J, the new PM635J is the flagship model of the PM range, with further improvements over previous models, incorporating 60 amp AC charging, 60 amp AC power supply, 45 amp MPPT solar regulator, and a 45 amp DC to DC charger. It's the perfect option for those who want to live off-grid for longer. Featuring the same 4-inch or 7-inch colour touchscreen display options and outputs as the PM535J, The additional charge capabilities mean faster charging times on larger battery banks. You can power your holiday without limits thanks to the reliable performance of the PM635J system. Additional key features, which can be optioned on both the PM535J and PM635J system, include trusted favourites like tyre pressure monitoring system, caravan levelling system, an additional MPPT solar regulator to truly step up your off-grid game, dedicated Projecta heavy-duty batteries that communicate directly with the display, removing the need for an external shunt. Projecta's 2000 watt 120 amp or 3000 watt 180 amp inverter chargers, which are also both controlled by the 4-inch or 7-inch displays, and a high current shunt for when inverter systems are added, which is not required when using Projecta's LB HD batteries. All these options mean that wherever you go, from the comfort of caravan parks to remote off-grid escapes, Projecta has the right power management systems to keep your Jayco caravan adventure ready.
All right, so basically, as everyone knows, DC to DC chargers are becoming more and more required. Previously, a lot of people didn't need a DC to DC charger because you're going from home where you're fully charged, you're driving to a caravan park, or you're driving to one spot, you stay there a couple of nights, you drive home again, right? You don't need a DC to DC charger for that. But when everyone is now starting to get out more, spend more days off grid, spend a week off grid at a time, moving around a lot, you really do need that built-in DC to DC charger, right? Saves a lot of time and hassle with trying to add it in afterwards to the cars. Now, with all of these systems, you have the option of upgrading with an additional solar regulator that talks back to the main system, so everything charges together at once. So that way you're not having solar regulators fighting each other or trying to, shut down early or things like that can happen when you're mixing things up. Okay, so generally speaking, with the MPPT regulators, you can put more through than what you start with, right? So if you've got a 45 amp solar regulator, you could put 5 panels on there, right? But you're only going to get 45 amps through to the batteries at best, right? Now, if you want to have 5, 6, 7 panels on there, you can add an additional 40 amp solar regulator, so you can have 85 amps of solar running at any given time. Right? Now, say for argument's sake, you've got the inverter charger 2 or inverter charger 3, you want to run your aircon for a while, you can have that set up. Most aircons, once they're running, if you're running them about 24, 25 degrees, they sit somewhere between 40 and 60 amp hours per hour when they're running. If you've got enough solar, you could potentially still be charging your batteries on top of that during that time. So, same thing when you're driving, all of that works together. So that way you've got your DC to DC charger that's built in, plus the additional solar regulator, all pushing power into the battery while traveling. Yeah, so that comes down to the install, right? You'd have to speak with your dealership or their service centre about that. So you can have an extra line on there run to a breaker or to a fuse to the main solar array, and then you can add your extra panels on there, generally without a regulator, right? So that way the system's regulators will manage all of that themselves, all right? So obviously you really need that little bit extra. And that's what these systems are designed to do, right? With the extra switching and whatnot, it does make it very easy. They connect straight up to a phone app as well, so that way you can control all of those functions from your phone. There's a couple other little accessories and things that you can get with those as well. As Benny said, your tyre pressure monitors, your level sensors, all of that sort of thing. So that way everything is tied together as best as we can. Right, so I guess a little bit of what we've just gone over there. So you do have the control there for your water and for your hot water service, both on the screens and on the phone as well. The 30 amp DC to DC charging, that just makes sure that your car is actually getting a high enough voltage to be able to push power into the batteries. Right? Generally speaking, the batteries, if they're sitting around, say your battery is sitting around 13.25 volts, right? You would need about 13.75 volts to be able to start pushing power into the batteries. A lot of newer cars, to save fuel and reduce emissions, you're only getting about 13 volts or so through from the car because it's cutting the alternator out while you're driving, right? So that's why you want to have that set up on there. Now the touchscreen, the 4-inch touchscreen is great, but the 7-inch touchscreen is really where it excels. You can go through, have a look at how much solar you've charged, how much DC to DC input you've had, as well as looking at how much power you've used. Now what Benny didn't show on that video is where you can see the date up on the top, right? You can select that date and scroll back through previous months as well. Right? So it really helps you to get a good idea of what's happening, particularly if you're traveling around the year, right? Winter, you'll notice you're going to be relying a lot more on DC to DC charging when you're traveling than you are on solar, right? Summer, you generally don't have to worry too much about solar. Just make sure the panels are clean, you're out in full sun. Right? So you've got sorry, a little bit new to this part. Obviously the 635J, the big feature there, not only is it the bigger charger, but you've got extra circuits on there as well. So you've got extra lighting circuits that hook up to the system. You've got 3 of those that are dimmable. So that allows you to have a little bit of control over what you're running and how the van actually is as far as comfort level goes, because, it's great to have a nice bright van, but as you're getting ready for bed, you probably want to get things down, a little bit more comfortable. All right, so, and then of course, if you are looking to do a little bit extra, you do have the shunt that you can add on as well. That just reads all the power coming in and out of the batteries, sends that information direct to the main system, so it can see everything that's happening there. Now, a lot of the time, you'll have the LBHD batteries on there anyway, right? You don't need a shunt with those. All of that is built into the battery itself. Right? You also have the temperature sensing for those lithium batteries on the cells. That way it's monitoring exactly where the heat's generated. So you're not going to overheat the batteries because the batteries will tell the charger what they want and only accept what they need. Right? The other great thing with those LBHD batteries is there is an isolation switch there which doesn't just turn off the power in the van, it turns off the power at the battery. So it tells the battery, don't send any power out at the moment. So that way you're putting it away in storage, putting it away, with a cover on it or whatnot. Get your battery to 50 to 80%, flip the switch off, shut it down, and walk away. You're only going to have a very, very minimal self-discharge from the lithium batteries. All right, and of course you can add the inverter charger 2 and 3. That's your 2,000 watt, 120 amp AC charge and your 3,000 watt 180 amp AC charge. That'll help you get things up a little bit if you're doing a few stops at caravan parks, and of course a 3,000 watt inverter is enough to run basically your aircon, induction cooktops. Depending on how you get it all set up too, you may even be able to run hot water on it though. Probably stick with gas for that. You need a lot of solar to keep up with that. Alright, so we're pretty much over that. And then we have the new 48 volt system. Right, now this one brings everything up quite a bit, and it's something that people have been asking for. We've been working on this for a while. Obviously 12 volt systems, somewhat limited, right? Very high amperage throughputs, especially when you start using inverters and fast charging. So with a 48 volt system, it means that the current that actually has to go through essentially is quartered, right? So if something needs to run at 400 amps, right, for an example, a 4,000 watt inverter, you're only going to be running at 1,000 amps, 100 amps at 48 volt. instead of 400. So that means you can have smaller batteries, smaller cable, it's a lighter system, and it's far more efficient because you don't have the same system losses that you do between 12 volt and 48 volt. Now, this is really when if you're going to be doing a lot of off-grid camping, you want to get away out into, Western Australia, out into the Simpson, whatever. This is the sort of setup that you want to have a look at. All right, now we've got another video here just to run you through that.
Power management in your Jayco has never been easier or more powerful with the new to market Projecta 48 volt 4000 watt inverter charger system. This 48 volt powerhouse breaks free from traditional 12 volt limitations. With a reduced footprint and weight compared to the Jayco off-grid X systems, this high-power workhorse contains a powerful 4000 watt inverter charger capable of 8000 watts of surge, a built-in 30 amp DC to DC charger, built-in 30 amp MPPT solar controller, and a built-in 75 amp AC charger. Did I hear someone out there say that 30 amps is not that much? Well, in this 48 volt system, that's the equivalent of 120 amps charge in a 12 volt system. Admit it, now you're impressed. While we're covering impressive numbers, an all-new 18-channel output module replaces the busy board of the off-grid X system. This module incorporates 8 dimmable circuits for mood lighting, 8 switchable circuits for normal loads, plus 2 high-output circuits to do the heavy lifting. Stay in control of your battery power with the added feature of tracking consumption on each output, displayed in both wattage and 12 volt current. This new system mirrors the off-grid X with a 7-inch colour touch display and Bluetooth connectivity, keeping things simple and efficient while delivering all the things you rely on, including caravan levelling, tyre pressure monitoring, gas level monitoring, and an array of statistical data, all at a touch of a finger. So how does it all stay powered? The 48 volt, 105 amp hour LifePo 4 lithium chassis mount battery is ready for the task at hand. While 105 amp hours may sound limited, don't forget that's the equivalent of 420 amp hours in a 12 volt system and can be expanded for larger capacity needs. Engineered to exceed all standards and compliance, you can trust that you're safe and secure with overvoltage, undervoltage, overcurrent, short circuit and high-low temperature protections. For travellers who refuse to compromise on comfort, the new Projecta 48 volt 4000 watt inverter charger system lets you live life to the fullest in your Jayco, whether you're on or off-grid.
Shortly. So you'd have to speak with the guys at Jayco, right? So how long until they're actually building with it? I'm not 100% sure. That's unfortunately outside of my control. I can't make them start building faster. So, but no, look, it's if it's something that you're looking at, if you're really wanting that extra step, definitely go down and have a word with the guys at the Jayco stand. They'll be able to help you. All right. So obviously the 4,000 watt inverter, fantastic. You can run more than what you can off of a standard 15 amp input on your caravan. Right, normally you're limited to around 3,600 watts through when you connect it up to mains, so you can actually use more off your inverter than you can off mains on your van. All right, so the 30 amp DC to DC charger, now it is, because you're using 4 times the voltage, it is 4 times as much power actually into the batteries. However, probably one of the better parts of that is it's a 2-way charger. So if your car starts dropping down, say you've got a fridge in the back of the car as well as in the van, it's going to send power back to your car and help to make sure that you can still start. So if you do want to get back to civilization, you're still going to be able to do that. So your solar, obviously too, you've got, you can get up to 1,500 watts of solar on there, which should be more than enough to keep you running for a while. And of course, you can just jump in, get into a caravan park, charge up your entire system overnight and be off and away again, and not having to worry about paying park fees for hopefully at least another week or so. Now, of course, those dimmable circuits, again, lets you get a little bit more comfort as far as lighting goes. Then you've also got those other 8 switchable circuits. You can have pretty much anything can be lined up on those, allowing you to have the ability to turn anything pretty much in the van on and off. And of course you've got your high output circuits for things that need that little bit more power. You can go up to 30 amps. Now that's all off of a 12 volt system, so nothing has to be changed as far as your usage of the van or the way that you use the van or how the car's set up. The only thing you do need to do is on the car, it just has to have a large enough cable for coming through from your battery, and obviously the car itself has to be fused and the alternator has to be good enough to be able to do it. Most can do it, and the few that can't, they've usually got aftermarket alternators you can add on to give yourself that extra little bit anyway. So the monitoring, obviously being able to see the wattage and the actual current coming out of each circuit helps you to get a better feel for your van. If you're turning on your main lights, you see you're using 4 or 5 amps on those main lights, you know, maybe they're not the best ones to use all the time, you know. Give you a chance to use some of the smaller lights, get that power usage down a little bit, and obviously help you keep track of things like, you know, your radios, TVs, antennas, all that sort of stuff that a lot of the time people don't think about. They're just there running. But to actually be able to see that power usage is fantastic. And of course you do get that little, you've got that history on there that you can go back and have a look at how much power you've used over all of those. Now you do have the 7-inch screen that you have there, the same as the off-grid X system. Pretty much all the same sort of setup. You've got the wireless connectivity for your remote monitoring control off the phone. You've got your leveling systems, tyre pressure monitored systems. Your gas levels can be monitored on there as well. So as you're heading out of town, you can quickly have a look on your phone, have a look on the screen, see where you're at, see if you need to stop off and grab a couple of extra bottles as you're heading off. And of course, the data logging gives you a good history. You can go back on this system. It goes hour by hour. You can go back for months to have a look at how much power you've used. There's also a very intuitive error system, so if anything does go wrong, you do have access to be able to see what's going wrong, and it'll give you some suggestions as to what to do to try and resolve those issues. There we go, lost where I was at. So, obviously, your 105 amp hour battery is equal to around about 400 amp hours of AGM, and it is more efficient. So you are going to use less power and lose less power while everything's running. The battery is mounted under the van on the chassis, so that way it's not taking up any cupboard space or anything like that. It's all out of the way. It's all in a sealed box. The cables themselves are protected with fuses, as well as fusing inside the van to make sure that everything is safe and secure. Now, the over voltage, under voltage protection, make sure that your batteries don't run into any issues. But if it does you do happen to run out of power, the solar or your car will jumpstart the batteries and turn them all back on again. So you're not going to be sitting there trying to figure out how to get things running. I've already gone over some of those there. Obviously, being a much smaller system, much lighter, it's great, especially if you're going off-road. You really want the lightest van that you can. It makes your off-road experience a lot better. The monitoring really helps, obviously, again, with that, making sure that you know what's actually happening in the van, because a lot of the time you'll find that appliances are using more than you think. All right, no other questions? No? Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, guys. And as I said, if you do have any other questions or you've got, you're welcome to come up to me afterwards. And also, if you want to find out more about the 48 volt systems or the other systems, just go down and see the guys at Jayco. They're there ready for you. Thank you.
Oh, that's a big and. For the Victorian Caravan and Camping Supershow, the biggest and best and the most exhibitors and the Adventure Zone and the Kids Zone and the RV Master Stage and lots more. And only $20. Melbourne Showgrounds, February 19 to 23. Tickets at caravanshow.com.au.